I got infinity money.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Beyond the Backboard Podcast. Recording Monday morning. The new. We're gonna take it day by day with the timing, but we'll figure it out. This
whenever I bother to reply, yes.
Yeah. But anyway, dude, eventful week in the NBA and the WNBA. Like I have to bring up the WNBA. That shit was insane.
You mean the WNCAA?
The WNCAA, yes. I apologize. I mean, like, look, because I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't paying much attention to women's basketball earlier this year, but as soon as I started to see like the competition and like the sheer ferocity of what these women do on the court, I don't know why. Just in my mind, it never occurred to me that it could get like that for some reason. I don't know why. And it's just an attestament to the great people playing in these games. And
yeah, for sure.
I'm surprised more than anything.
I mean, I think the one thing is, like, don't get me wrong, there's always been talent around like the WNBA and women's college basketball. In my opinion, I think women's March Madness has always been a little bit more competitive just because the games are a lot more rivalry based. I mean, compared to women's and men's, like, I'm pretty sure the girls have to stay like 3 or 4 years either way. So you build like these different rivalries and stuff like that. So the matchups mean a lot more. Like compared to men's, like it's a lot of one and done. Like it's not like what it used to be. Like back in the day, like programs like guys stayed for like 3 or 4 years. They competed for championships. Like that's how you build these big programs. So you always have that sense of rivalry. But obviously, it's no secret. You got the new faces of women's basketball, say like the Caitlin Clarks, the Juju Watkins, the Paige Beckers of the world, just to name a few, because there are a lot. Just pretty much changing the game. Like they're putting the game in such a bright light, and I think it's bringing a lot more fans to that side of basketball. And just to say, like, that whole women's tournament, it was amazing. I mean, from game one to last championship game, I feel like it just produced the best version of basketball. No matter who you were going for, it was a great game. Like both sides had key players stepping up huge, and it was just good basketball, man. It's like, I don't care, men's, women's, whatever. Like just watching good quality basketball, I think that it just puts women's sports like in such a good light this past couple months, I'll say.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I never watched really any like women's college basketball, women's professional basketball before this. But like you said, Earl, like the fact that, I mean, the ratings for this is like absolutely through the roof. Like I think the ratings, I don't even know if we have the ratings for the national championship yet, but just even the game for like the Final Four game of Iowa versus UConn, those ratings like blew away like huge sports events, like golf tournaments, NBA games, some like I don't know if they were touching NFL.
And
games,
even
like,
Iowa versus LSU.
Yeah, like
it's a huge as well.
Events, they were on big ABC.
Oh my God.
They were on big ABC. Like this is getting national attention and headlines that like had never been seen before. So I was like, I gotta watch these games. Like I had to. So I started watching the games, like specifically Iowa's games. And man, like it's just so fun to watch. Like honestly, like I'll go ahead and just say this right now. I think women's basketball is better fundamental basketball than the NBA for the simple fact that they just don't have the athleticism that like you see in the NBA. You know, they're not 6'10" athletic demons. Just
not every person is dunking
sprinting.
As well. Yeah. Not every person in the WNBA is dunking as well.
Like, no, basically nobody can dunk in the WNBA.
There's only a very select few.
I think there's only one or two. I literally think there's only one or two. But like,
I don't know.
Like you said, like you know, it's a game played below the rim instead of above the rim, which is honestly like it's more like the game that's more like the basketball we play. Like it's more like the average person. Like if you go to like the YMCA or like if you grow up playing basketball and you're not like, you know, ridiculously tall and athletic, you're playing like, you know, that's the kind of brand of basketball that you're playing. So honestly, it's more enjoyable to watch because it's more on the fundamentals. Players pass way better. They run plays. They set picks. It's more strategy involved. Like you saw the way teams are having to defend Caitlin Clark. Like it was more of a strategic game. And it honestly, like, I'm not going to say it's more fun to watch than the NBA. I think it's just different styles of basketball. Like there are times in the NBA where it's just so cool just to see guys do what you can't do. Like the fact that we have players that can just go hezzy between the legs through, spin move, throw it off the backboard and slam it on someone's head. Like that is objectively cool. No one's going to argue against that. But it is refreshing to just see, simple, pick and roll, screen away, pass, cut hard, finish through contact. Like it's different. And it's refreshing to see from someone who's pretty much only watched exclusively NBA. So I think, regardless of who won, this tournament will always be seen as like, maybe, will be seen as a success for years and decades to come because of the attention that it put on the women's game. And it's like I said, I had no intention on probably ever watching women's basketball for any reason. But now I'm like, I see where the hype comes from. And honestly, like I respect their games. I respect the players. It really did create a great storyline. And the fact that it was able to grip the attention of the nation is going to be remembered for a long time. And this is going to put women's basketball, both on the collegiate level and in the pro level, in a great spot. With Caitlin Clark going to the WNBA now, being the first pick, there's going to be a lot of fans that transition with her and going to watch her in the games. And I'll check out some Caitlin Clark WNBA games for sure. So yeah, I think regardless of who won, it was a success in that.
I find it so amazing that. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, I mixed up Sabrina and Caitlin for a second. My bad. Let's
Sabrina's also insane. Like the fact that she just did like the NBA 3-point shootout with Curry. That's another thing.
Yeah. Like I was about to say, like she's not in college. She's in the WNBA, right?
No, she's in WNBA.
She's in the WNBA. Okay, yeah. I mean, look, Caitlin Clark is going to be a testament to Sabrina, regardless. I feel like Caitlin is about to be on that level, like very, very soon. It's just, you could tell by the way she plays the game. So I'm just going to be really interested, and I'm going to start like watching certain WNBA games because some of those key matchups are going to go hard.
Yeah, and the thing I love most about Caitlin Clark,
but I have to go for it. I'm sorry.
Just real quick. The thing I love most about her is the fact that like she's also the best passer in like all of college basketball. Like, not only did she put up like 30 points basically every game, like set 3-point records, set scoring records, her passing is genuinely some of the best I've ever seen. Like her ability to hit teammates in stride. She plays with her head up. She gets, has like Hall of Fame needle threader getting passes through tight windows. And she's just so unselfish. Like she could shoot every possession and probably no one would be mad at her, but she would rather like hit her teammate on a drive or like throw it behind her back like an open 3-point shooter than force up a shot, which I respect the heck out of. She just plays a great brand of basketball, and it's unselfish. She gets her teammates involved and she gets good looks, which I think, considering how good she is offensively, she would have every right to just be a ball hog, but she's actively like the opposite. She's also just the best passer on top of being the best scorer, which is just insane.
For sure. I agree with you there. I'm like, it's just watching like women's sports is like you said, like I didn't think about the perspective of like, if you break down the game, like they're doing stuff that we can go outside and do. Like everybody doesn't have athleticism to go dunk and do crazy windmills and stuff like that. So when you look at the game like that, it's just a more, I think it's exciting, man. Like I think WNBA gets a bad rep because I think one thing it has to do with too is advertising. I feel like they have to definitely pick up that part. I think it's going to be a lot easier with Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, those type of players coming into the WNBA this upcoming season. And on top of that, like they have to make sure they put these games on TV at the right times. Like I feel like so many times, like I just don't know it's on. Like I've been kind of following a little bit more like consistently the last 2 seasons. And I have to like go, like if you don't know the schedules, like if you basically aren't like on the apps and Googling and stuff, not knowing the schedules, it's really hard for you to know when a game's coming on. So I think that that's one thing they have to work on as far as like just making sure you take this opportunity to translate the game of the new Caitlin Clark fans, all these new young basketball fans in the WNBA world. Take that opportunity and really push this season of WNBA. This should be their best viewership season by far. And I agree with you too, Max. I'm definitely going to see a couple games. I already looked at tickets and stuff for Atlanta Dream dates. I'm going. I have to go see Caitlin Clark in person. And I think, I don't know, man, I just think it's such a fun game of basketball. And I just hope that everything just works out. Everything works smoothly. Obviously, we know about the pay differences, but I don't see that being like a huge issue for too much longer. Like, especially with this next generation of women's college basketball players coming up.
There's going to be more of an audience.
Yeah. Once you get that audience up, once you get those numbers up, they can easily start transitioning to getting better pay for everybody else. So shout out to them for that. I'm excited for the future of women's sports just in general. And I'm glad they're finally getting their light, man, because it's not like Caitlin Clark is the best women's player ever. It's just she's brought a different type of audience to the game. And I'm glad that now the OGs of the game are kind of getting more respect as well, getting their name in the light a little bit too, because of the Caitlin publicity as well.
And yeah, I want to pose a question to you guys, because actually I'm not exactly % sure how the playoff series goes within the WNBA. Is it a 7-game series or is it like
I think it's 5?
I think it's
5-game series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know how many rounds there are.
I want to ask you guys, do you think it would be more interesting? I asked this before. I asked this before on an earlier podcast because we were talking about NBA playoffs and stuff like that. Do we think it would bring up viewership, and maybe if it was a 1-game elimination in, like, let's say the NBA did that?
We have the play-in tournament for that.
I understand that. But what if that would turn into a regular playoff series? I feel like that would bring up so much more attention because almost every other game is so important to those individual teams. I don't know. I just feel like it would be a lot more interesting, at least if it's like 3 games. Or
I feel like that just takes away from like what we expect from NBA basketball. Like the thing about NBA is it's not up to 1 game. Like it's a series of games. Like you have to make adjustments. You got to game plan. Like you got to fight through adversity. You're down 2-1. Can you come back and win? I think that it's just like it's just a thrill and excitement of like a playoff series that I enjoy. Like that's what makes me kind of a fan of a game. Like you can be completely out of a series and you can LeBron it and come back 3-1. Like just hearing those type of stories is just really fun to watch. But I mean, maybe I wouldn't be like totally upset if they made it like to 5 or something like that, which I still just like the idea of 7, but to make it a 1-on-1, I mean that's basically like regular season, but you're just eliminated. I'm just not the biggest fan of that for the game.
Yeah, I think what works with the single game, which is why you see it a lot in college, is you don't always get the opportunity to see the best teams play against each other during the regular season. So the single game is made to kind of put you up against a lot of different opponents in the playoffs and eventually weed it down. I mean, obviously every platform is going to weed it down to the best ones, but you think about it, it allowed just in this tournament, like you allowed to see Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark. Like you got Juju Watkins versus, I'm pretty sure she played South Carolina, I think, but it's like you get the matchups that you didn't get in the regular season because college basketball or college sports are so big. You don't always get the best teams in a head to head. So it's like, okay, this is the matchup we've all been waiting for. But in the NBA, it's like you already get every team playing every other team in the regular season. So I feel like what Earl said, it would kind of get a little, it would feel a little repetitive instead of it being hype. Like in the NFL, also think about it, that's probably another reason why they do only 1 game, because even though teams play within the same conference, there's not a guarantee they're going to match up in the regular season. So you might not get the 2 best teams. So when you do get the 2 best teams in the playoff, you want it to be hyper-focused on that 1 game, that singular matchup. Okay. But so that's why I feel like in the NBA it wouldn't really work as well, because like you already play every team at least twice in the regular season. Sometimes you play a team 4 times. So a single elimination, I feel like the hype wouldn't be that bought in. And you also got to think about it from like a tickets and ratings perspective. Having a series go 6 or 7 for total ratings is going to blow out even what 1 game would do. Like overall, it's going to be way better ratings. The NBA is going to make way more money. It's just going to be a more profitable product, theoretically, the more games you play, especially comparing it like a 6 or 7 game series to just 1 game. Like the total amount of revenue is never going to outbalance it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I can definitely understand that part.
I am a proponent, though, of the first 2 series being 5 games. I'll stand on that. I think the quarterfinals and the semifinals should be 5. I do believe. And
I do think the in season the I'm sorry, what was it? The what did we call the end of the bracket? I forgot the name of it. It's like the
just the in-season tournament?
Not the in-season tournament. It's right before the playoffs. It's like they're the 2 final seeds in the conference, and they
play-in.
Yes, the play-in. Sorry, I forgot the terminology for it. The play-in. Play-in is a single game series, right?
Yeah, that it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like there's that niche there. I think, it's a nice balance. You get and that's why I think it would be even nicer to have like the first 2 rounds be 5 games, because it's like you get the play-in, those are your 1 game eliminations. If you're a good enough team, you avoid the play-in. You don't even put yourself in that situation. So you get your 1 game elims, then the next 2 are 5 game elims. So it makes it a little bit easier if you're an underdog. It makes some of those first and second round matchups that can sometimes be a little lopsided and predictable. Makes them slightly more unpredictable. It doesn't mean that you're going to get Cinderella upsets every time. It's still very hard to upset a top seed, but it just makes it slightly a little bit easier. It gives the lower team a little bit more of a shot, having to win 3 out of 5 versus 4 out of 7. And then once we get to the conference semifinal, once we get to the conference finals, and then the NBA finals, you're back to your traditional 7. At that point, no more free handouts. You got to go win 4 games out of 7 because that's where we're really getting down to the nuts and bolts of we're crowning an NBA champion. So yeah, that's how I'd like to see it. I do think the 5-game series has its place in the early rounds.
All right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I tried to just let's call it playing devil's advocate, because while I do want to shorten the series a lot, I kind of want it to be like a build-up thing as well. Like I want it to start with like a 3 or a 5-game series in the first 2 rounds, and then like exactly how you explained it, basically. Like that's what I want. I
think it would just help the build up instead of the drag. But I mean, listen, you're far. I'm sure there are some fans out there who would love just a 1-game series, you know. And in theory, it does sound cool. Like you want to. I don't know why Earl has a Fruit Ninja background, but
why?
In theory, it does sound cool.
Why?
Just have that, you know, have every game be one. It would just put so much pressure on it. But I feel like in the long run, it probably wouldn't be the best for the league. It has its place in college sports, and I think that's probably where it's best suited.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think if you want that type of vibe, go to college sports. It's always a great time. That's why March Madness is loved by everybody. People don't watch college basketball for the whole year, but everybody, no matter if you're casual, you're going to tune into at least one March Madness game. Like, it's just a fact. So if you want that type of excitement, there's that market for it. If you want a quality playoff series, playoff round, it just makes more sense for the NBA to do that. And if you think about it, it just makes sense for college. There's so many different teams, man. You have to limit games. Like, you can't have series in March Madness.
Exactly.
It would just take too long. NBA is condensed to a certain amount of teams. And for that reason, we're able to have playoff series and have a number of players or teams make the playoffs. So I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think it works. I do agree. If you wanted to move the first couple rounds to 5, whatever. But I didn't just think historically for the game, there's just some things you just don't have to change, in my opinion.
I definitely agree. I can't dispute against that at all.
Yeah, I've always carried an alternate playoff theory, but we can do a whole episode on that because my theory is so convoluted and complicated that it would probably take 10 years to explain, which is probably why the NBA doesn't do it. But yeah, that could be a story for another day. Is my convoluted fix the playoffs?
All right, I think it's time.
We got other stuff to talk about. We had a busy
I think it's time to talk about the NBA standings right now, because while the Milwaukee Bucks lost last night, they still managed to clinch that playoff positioning. And while that upsets me, and
positioning, like what spot?
They clinched the 2nd seed.
Really?
Yeah, they clinched it last night with the loss.
That Adrian Griffin hard work.
They did it though.
No, but man,
they clinched the playoffs.
I feel like we're going to be the better seed when it comes down to it. I feel like we're going to end in the 2nd seed. Jalen Brunson, 43 points.
I thought 50%. You said they clinched 2nd seed.
No, they did, but I feel like the record-wise we'll still have a better record by the end of the season. It's literally that close. That's why I'm saying that.
Wait. Oh, wait. Okay, so do y'all own the season series or do they?
I think it's a split.
It's not. Really? It's 3-5. It's 3-2 them.
Okay.
But they didn't clinch the 2nd seed though. They're still...
Yeah, that was confusing wording, but I get what you
mean. It says clinch playoff positioning, and then it says orange on Milwaukee Bucks. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, that just means they will be in the playoffs. That doesn't mean that they're going to be the seed they are.
I think they just can't. Yeah, they can't not be.
They're not going to fall any lower than the 6th seed. They will be somewhere between 2 and 6. They're not going to be in the play-in. They will be in the playoffs, but that could be anywhere between 2 and 6.
That scared me. That scared me a little bit. I mean, but we still have the opportunity then. We still have the opportunity. The Magic and the Knicks are tied with at 46 and 32. They're literally the same exact
Orlando
record.
Magic.
I love their theme song too, man. I gotta say.
The Knicks. I'm just playing.
I love the fact that Shaq said that the Magic can sweep us in a season series, because to be completely honest, it's very likely. The way the Magic have been playing this year has been really impressive, and they've beaten us almost every single time in the season series. I know that doesn't matter. We did that to the Heat last year, and they still ended up sweeping us under the rug. Like, I understand that doesn't matter, but that has to count for something. The Orlando Magic literally have shot from a borderline 10th seed, maybe even lower, to a 3rd seed within a year. And it's honest, like, what?
They're just a mystery, man. Nobody can predict what the Magic's going to do until the playoffs come. I feel like regular season is one thing, but I preach playoffs is just a different beast. Like, you have to have vets in that locker room to help you navigate how to manage games. Like, you can't get too high. Your highs can't be too high. It's like, hey, I won 2 games. I mean, Knicks can go and win 4 in a row. Like, it's like, it's just levels. And I just haven't seen the Magic, this team in the playoffs. So I can't give them the edge over the Knicks who have playoff experience. So yeah, I just think it's kind of a mystery. I don't know.
Well,
it just depends.
We'll see what happens because Milwaukee and the Magic play each other twice at the end of the season. I think the next game they both have is against each other, and then quite literally the last game of the season, it's going to be the Magic versus the Bucks.
Yeah, I know the Bucks have a really tough.
And I don't. Too. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting race for the playoffs because the East is in shambles. The only team that leads above 20 games is the Boston Celtics. We obviously know they're most likely going to come out of the East, but man, yeah, right. Because
I still have mine.
Because Miami Heat are lurking. The Miami Heat are lurking.
I'm just gonna say. Now. I'll see it when I see it. I know with Tatum and Brown. I know they got new guys. I know. I'm not being a hater here.
Can I be honest, though?
I'll just wait and see is what I'll say.
Can I be honest?
Ever since we beat them with no Brown and AD, my respect level is a little bit lower. But cook up, Celtics.
But here's what I think. I think here's going to be my hot take. I think Miami is going to reach that 7th seed. I think they're going to overtake Philadelphia for now because Joel Embiid is still dealing with his injury management. He's not injured, but he took off last game.
Though.
They are. Maxi's put up 54 last night. Yeah, he's doing really well. But the Miami Heat.
No.
The Miami Heat or the Miami Heat
together again yet? Have Maxey and Embiid played together again yet?
Yeah, it's literally one game. Yeah, and then that's what I was talking about. So Embiid,
and they haven't lost, right? Since he's been back.
They're on a 5-game winning streak. They're on a 5-game winning streak. So they're already winning prior to getting Embiid back.
So Embiid's been back for 3 games now.
No,
or at least 2 games.
1 game.
Has it been just one?
It's only been 1 game. It's been really recent. He played the 1 game. He played 1 game. He took off for the Tyrese when Tyrese went off. He literally played the first one and then didn't play the second one.
But wasn't there a game between?
Yeah, there was another game.
No, he came back earlier last week.
Let me see.
He came late last week. He came back Friday, and then they had a game Sunday.
I think he's played 3 games, Omar. I got April 2nd, I got April 4th, and I got April 6th, and they won all 3 of them.
What? For real?
Yeah, I'm telling you, because I remember the first game he kind of started off a little rocky. Second game, I remember specifically there was that behind the back pass, and then he got it back for that layup. That was
must be thinking earlier this year. Then I don't know.
Yeah,
shit.
It was earlier. He came back a week ago, so he's played a couple games since then. I think yesterday. You gotta think
the space between games right now are really short. It's basically 1 game.
Between most games. I think Milwaukee's gonna lose 1 more game and be on par with almost everybody else in the Eastern Conference. If they lose 1 more game, they're going to be tied with the Knicks and the Orlando Magic. If the Milwaukee Bucks need to be worried right now.
If Philly makes the playoffs, for real. I can see him going on a deep run. I don't know what it is. As long as Joel stays healthy, the Sixers, regardless of what they did and how they fell, I'm confident that team can win.
But they also can't force Embiid to come back, right? They need
back.
He didn't play the last game. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a mandatory rest. He played 3 games.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I think there's always going to be that worry of he's probably not going to be 100%. I mean, I feel like Embiid rarely to ever plays at 100% period.
Sure.
Just his brand of basketball, he's always dealing with something. And, this is probably an injury that's, I would imagine, is going to linger a little bit. It might not be any, risk of re-injury, but it might just be playing through pain, playing through swelling. It is pretty soon to come back from a meniscus tear, I feel like, and try and play at an MVP level. So I feel like no matter what, there will always be at least that underlying. It doesn't mean he's going to take games off in the playoffs. Probably not. It is the playoffs.
Sure.
They need him out there. But
yeah,
I don't think it's crazy to think about, like, is he, at what level is he actually going to be able to play at? What is reasonable to expect from a guy like that?
For sure. I think my thought process is, like, if he's out there playing and he's being at least 65% of himself, I still think he can take out a lot of these teams. Him and Tyrese can take out a lot of these teams.
True. I mean, Tyrese Maxey is the key to that team. I mean, if he is playing at an all-star level and he really is a running mate for Embiid, that just opens up so much for the Sixers. It just takes such a load off Embiid and it makes everyone else better. You can get like the Kelly Oubre games. You can get, the Kyle Lowry playoff games.
And you mentioned that too, Max. Like, it's not like the Maxey like we've seen these couple weeks as the first option. Like, his game opens up so much with a Joel Embiid on the court. So I agree with that.
Yeah. And I will say, I think you guys touched on this, or Omar, you finished this a little earlier. I don't think the Celtics want to play Miami.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they want to see Miami.
That they could play that scares them a little bit. I would still back the Celtics to win that series, but I feel like it's going to be like the Atlanta series last year. It's going to go to 7 games. Didn't Atlanta go to 6?
I don't remember.
It definitely didn't go to 7. I think they went to 6, maybe 5. But I think Miami is a team that could push Boston in the first round. I think they'd much rather play a Philly. I think they'd rather play Philly. They'd rather play in Indiana. They'd rather play like an Orlando I guess theoretically they could play the Hawks or the Bulls. I'm sure they'd much rather play those guys. But
yeah. I mean, the Hawks are in the play-in right now versus the Bulls, it looks like.
It's going to be the Hawks.
9 and
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't move. Yeah, at this point.
It's so rough for the Hawks, man. I can't help but feel bad sometimes.
No need to feel bad. They got injuries. I mean, it happened.
Yeah, that's true. They got DeJounte Murray, who's doing work out there by himself.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't know what the Trae Young situation is. I don't know if he's going to be back or not. But if he is, I mean, one game versus the Bulls, I really wouldn't be worried. It's just about going on a long playoff series. Yeah. So that would be interesting. Who would they play if they got out?
Can I get some props for predicting the Nets would miss the playoffs this year and them not even being in the play-in right now?
You're right.
Because I said that in one of our first episodes.
They are officially eliminated too.
I actually overrated them slightly. I thought they'd at least be in a play-in game and they just get smoked in the play-in. I didn't think they'd just straight up flop into the 11th.
Yeah,
I gotta say I was wrong about something earlier this year. I thought Minnesota was gonna fall a bit. They're tied with They're tied with the Nuggets for the first place in the East. For the what?
Setting them up for an early first round exit.
I don't know. I still back.
Who do they play in that? Who do they play in that series? Do they play Sacramento or New Orleans? I don't think.
It depends on who falls, though.
Yeah.
If they play Sacramento, I don't know. You guys might play them you guys might play them. If you guys can pass up.
If we don't. I really at this point I'm just ready to get it over with at this point, just to play. Like, I know we're gonna win, not to sound like that. I just want to know where we finish so we can lock in and see what we have to do. Because pretty much
to AD for actually playing this year, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's only missed 5 games. He only missed 5 games this year. He did his thing.
Okay, now I have to ask then. With that being said, how the hell are you guys in 9th? LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
If you look at, we had this conversation too. If you look at the standings right now, and you put the same standings from last year,
we talked about it. Yeah, we know.
You'd be the 5th seed right now.
You're still not going to pass the Nuggets. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a repeat.
If we play the Nuggets again, we're not folding again. I'm not really worried about that.
Not folding again? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not even trying to talk shit. I'm just trying to be realistic.
Losing to Denver folding.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, my version of folding is just not competing. Like, a lot of those games we didn't finish. Like,
y'all
we didn't
close out those games though. You lost 4.
No, I'm saying
games,
like
really.
I'm talking about closing out games. Like, we played really good. Like, all those games could have went either way. The reason we lost those games were the last 5 minutes of all those games. Except for one where Denver just completely took over one of those games. But my version of folding is just not finishing games. I think we did a bad job of that. Denver did a tremendous job of closing out every last one of those games. Like, if you go back and just watch the end of those games, that series was so close. It could have been a sweep either way. Like, that's how close every one of those games were. So
Somebody
Shout out to Denver. They just took care of business, man.
Yeah. It reminds me of, I'm pretty sure there was a Portland versus Golden State series a couple of years ago. I think it was a conference finals in like I forget when, but I think it was like one of those late 2010s conference finals or maybe conference semifinals where I'm pretty sure Golden State wound up sweeping them or maybe winning, but it felt like Portland was in every single one of those games and they were competitive and Dame was playing really well and CJ was playing really well. I forget who that front court was looking like. I think Gary Trent may have been on that team where it's like they were competitive all the time. It's like you said, they just couldn't finish it off. Like ultimately that Golden State team, eventually they showed their muscle in the last 5 minutes. And it's like, you come down to Curry and Durant, you just can't stop that. But they put up a good fight from what I remember. It's like close. You just can't. The difference between a great team and a good team is the last 5 minutes. I'll stand by that.
Yep.
You know what?
And
I'll say this too.
3 minutes. But once you get to those final 5 and the game slows down, that's when you can tell who's really good and who's not.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait for all this playing stuff to be over. We get into these series and just start really getting to work. Because it's been a lot of teams talk crazy about us, man. And rightfully so. Whatever. We're the 9th seed. I agree. It is what it is. But if we got Eastern Conference teams talking about 9th seed, I mean, look at the competition in the West, bro. Every team, 1 seed through 10. If they get in the playoffs, they have a good chance of making a case of getting out of the West. Like every one of those teams has a chance.
I feel like it's really about where it's positioned on a for real. But I'm just saying, like in general, every one of these teams are built where they can make a playoff run. Like regardless, like they have the ability to. I think compared to the East, I mean, like, are we really thinking the Bulls? No offense, Daniel. Sorry, Daniel.
No.
The Hawks, the Magic really being like championship contenders, no offense to them. Like, I feel like they're still super young. I just think the West, that's why I call it every week. I call it the Wild Wild West, man. Like every single game, it's a dogfight every night.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see a lot of that in the league, not just in the Western Conference. Like we were literally just talking about how the Eastern Conference is literally like the second place seed can be replaced by the Orlando or New York Knicks. Like we're
true.
And even just to say that the Cleveland Cavaliers as well. We can't forget about how they went on an insane run.
Yeah, I just don't know what's going on over there in Cleveland. Right? Like the vibes were so good and they were winning without their guys. I mean, listen,
they were playing easy teams. They got exposed now. I'm just playing.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Teams go on stretches.
I think it's
like streaking.
I think it's the fact that, and I'm not trying to put this on Donovan Mitchell at all, because Donovan Mitchell had nothing to do with this. But I do think it's the fact that the owner came out and said, we have no worries about signing Donovan Mitchell. And then Donovan Mitchell comes out and says, I don't know, we'll get there when the time comes.
I mean, but they were losing before that, though.
Yeah, but he was also injured at that time. He's not injured now.
I mean, yeah, but
he was out yesterday.
He was out?
Yeah, he only came back to play us. You know how it is. It's the Lakers tax. Guys only show up to come play us, and then they sit down for like 8 weeks. These even Kuzma... That was crazy, bro.
Yeah,
Kuzma out the rest of the season basically. That was crazy.
We tried.
Wait, let me say that one more time. I'm sorry. What?
It's the Lakers tax. Players, if your player's on injury reserve, and you're playing the Lakers the next day, 9 times out of 10 they're going to
play. Yes. I was talking about what you just said.
And on top of that, shooting is insane. Nas, let me talk about Nas Reed. He hates
Nas Reed.
No. Nas Reed the game before. He was like 2 for 14. The game before, checks into our game, doesn't miss. Insane.
Bro turned.
But that's every team. Every team, one of their role players turns insane shooting versus like, I don't know if it's just like a cause and effect superpower or something against the Lakers, or I don't know what to call it. It's just the most taxable tax I've ever seen in my life. But that's besides the point. What were you asking?
I was gonna say.
Excuse me.
I think he meant about the Kuzma thing.
Yeah.
Oh, the Kuzma thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shit was crazy.
He just wanted to show up for his father, LeBron, and then he was done.
Look, man, the Lakers did him dirty. I think if you guys kept a lot of that young core, y'all would have had a better shot of making the playoffs this year. Like, let's say everybody progressed.
Playoffs this year.
Let's say all those rookies that you guys had on your squad progressed the same exact way. Y'all would be in a very, very, very different position from where you guys are right now.
I mean, I can't look at it like that because we traded away those guys when we won a championship. those guys we traded away haven't won a championship.
Yeah, but
so
those
if the
guys
trade-off cost us a championship, then I'm.
But
okay
all of
with
those
that
guys
for the
turned
moment.
into all-stars. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, Lonzo Ball for however long he was playing.
But I mean, Julius Randle, you guys don't want Julius Randle, so is that really
I mean, look, I don't mind him anymore. I don't mind him anymore.
I mean, they had to trade those guys to get Anthony Davis and to clear cap for Braun. I feel like that's not the question. I feel like the question is, should they have kept the pieces of the championship team around? Because they've all.
Oh, you're talking about afterwards.
Yeah,
to be better.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Kuzma has been better in Washington.
Yeah, we already
Caruso is now a very valued asset. I mean, Caldwell Pope just won a championship.
Oh, hell yeah.
Starter.
I think the thing about that is, I mean, we all agree. I mean, Lakers fans say it all the time. Like, that was a terrible trade for Russell Westbrook. I mean, we can't really go back and take back what happened, obviously. We could be in a better position for sure.
That's what happens when you get pressured by the public.
I mean, I don't think it's the public. Like, the front office just made decisions.
The public.
If the front office forces all their opinions on the public, then they shouldn't be owners. Like
100%. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But I don't want to get into that. But that's what I'm saying.
I think Braun shares definitely a large chunk of responsibility for that, because we know LeBron's tendencies for roster construction and how he very much is, trying to get the best players. But right now, he's more short term, and understandably, especially because at the age he's playing at, he's always had a short term kind of win now, move on to the next thing. He's always believed in grass is greener on the other side, which sometimes that has worked out at times in his career. But I think that trade with Westbrook definitely doesn't happen without a LeBron thumbs up. So
no, for sure. But
I think there was definitely pressure, even more so from Braun, I think, to mix the roster up, to change things. Because for one reason or another, he didn't think that team was going to be able to repeat or go forward. He wanted that team to go the direction of Westbrook and sign Melo and sign Dwight Howard. And, obviously the front office, should always be, is always the last, that's the last piece to fall. Like, they have to ultimately give the thumbs up and make the trade happen. But I would be shocked if Braun was not pushing hard for that Westbrook trade. And in hindsight, it wound up hurting them a lot.
And the thing is, too, like the Caruso thing, that wasn't even like a trade thing. Like, he just literally signed with a different team. They didn't.
That was just undervaluing. And you know what? I'm right with them. I thought Caruso, even after that championship, I thought Caruso was just, the meme, LeBron merchant. It's cool. He got his championship. I thought kind of a similar thing of Reeves, where it's like, they're not really good NBA players. They're just kind of playing next to LeBron, and they look better than they actually are. But I was proven wrong with Caruso, and I've been proven wrong with Reeves as well.
Yeah.
And I think I'm right with the Lakers. If you had asked me, is Caruso worth a long-term deal at the time, I would have said no, you can win without him. But obviously, in hindsight, they should have signed him. It would have been a better deal to have him. And they could have locked him up for what would be seen now as cheap. Like, if he would have hit the open market now, he's going to get a bag from somewhere.
Yeah, and then, like, my thing, regardless, like, of the trade or not, like, first of all, I agree. Like, that trade just didn't work out. I think guys just thought it would be something that it wasn't. And unfortunately, I mean, that cost like a season or two. But at the same time, even with that, we had so many injuries those years. Like, LeBron and AD barely played like all like two and a half of those seasons. Like, especially that one year where we played the Suns. I mean, LeBron was pretty hurt. AD was pretty hurt. I mean, it was the quickest series you'll ever see in your life. I only remember that series too. Like, the only thing I remember about that series is Devin Booker like running to get Bron's like jersey like out of the locker room, like through the tunnel, the hallway tunnel. Like, that's the only thing I really remember about that series. But it's just, I think the biggest thing in this era of like AD and Bron, it's been injuries. Like, I think that trade obviously made things work. I mean, having Kuzma still on the team, KCP as well, potentially just keeping around Alex Caruso, paying him, we probably would have had better success with those injuries still. I don't know. I just feel like we just made some tough decisions, but can't go back in the past. I think right now we have an opportunity to continue to compete. This year, I know it's 8 seed or whatever, 9 seed we're at right now, but I'm never going to waver confidence in this team as far as like making a playoff run, regardless where we are. Like, I say this, I preach this every week to everybody I know. Like, how can I not be confident when we were in the same position last year? And we just have to dog it out and do it again. I feel like when it comes to pressure situations like this, our team usually does a really good job of responding. Like, when it comes down to one game, elimination, everything on the line, LeBron and AD have shown up for me, except for the Nuggets. Well, even LeBron had a crazy game that game, actually. Just nobody else showed up that game.
You know who's going to show up?
Who?
Torian Prince is going to turn into the prime version of Hakeem Olajuwon during Ramadan.
Maybe so. I don't know. I won't be opposed to it.
Prince.
I won't be opposed to it, but off the bench, Prince has been playing a lot better when he's not playing 48 minutes a game. Darvin Ham.
Yeah. Is this the healthiest that the Lakers have been in the last couple of years? Like going into a playoff run? Is this kind of like
besides Vando?
Bron, like you said, like Bron's kind of on off, but he'll probably be good. Like it doesn't seem like any major injuries dealing with. AD played basically the whole season. Like Reeves looks good, Rui looks good, D'Lo's probably fine. Like
that's why I'm excited. Like you mentioned, like this is the healthiest we've been. Like I mentioned it last year. One of the biggest things we noticed about Bron was his legs weren't there. You can tell he was kind of still dealing with that lower body injury that he had for pretty much that whole season. That was keeping him out a lot of times. And even when he got to the last round, like just little things, like we noticed like his shooting, like the way he shoots the ball, like he uses his legs a lot. And I think that was affecting his jump shot in that playoff series, like just in general throughout the playoffs. But this year, obviously he's shooting like 41% from three. I mean, he had a game, four games ago where he shot 9 for 10 from three. Like, I can't help but be excited to see like a healthy Bron and healthy AD in full playoff series this year. So, and especially if we get Vando back too, I think Vando is one of the most underrated defensive talents, I would say. I'll say in the NBA, but just as far as that being on our team, like he's our best defender. I say it all the time. I love AD. I do a lot, but Vando is our most versatile defender. And that's saying a lot with Anthony Davis, the way he plays defense.
I would still say AD is more versatile.
The only reason I say that is because Anthony Davis, like, he can go out there and try to guard the Curry's of the world, which he does a good job contesting threes at times. But I mean, there is games where Curry's just shaking him up and stuff like that. Now Vando, I mean, he's had a track history of locking up Curry, locking up Luka. Like he's able to go out there on some of those faster guards and kind of keep that step with him. Like Anthony Davis, he can recover, yeah, but Vando, he'll stay with you. Even though obviously AD is AD for sure.
But I feel like Vando can also struggle against some more dominant paint bigs as well. So it's kind of like a trade-off there. Like,
oh no, for sure. But
it's like he is like he's not the tallest guy. So I feel like you get like a 6'11", 7-foot big playing him in the post. Like you said, he's not going to get cooked. But it's kind of the same thing like you said about AD. There's going to be some matchups where it's like he's just going to get, like the post is going to be a problem for him.
Yeah.
I feel like we got to talk about one guy who's just been, I mean, look, we talk about him all season. I feel like he's reached a status to where he could be considered a top 3 point guard in the East. Oh, Glazing.
Oh, my
bad. Glazing is crazy. Glazing is crazy.
My bad. No, continue. I like this.
Dude, when are you in particular going to give Jalen Brunson his props?
This all started because I said his 65 points were
no,
cool. I said it was cool.
You gotta say impressive, but you know what? Though
I said cool. I gave a better response than Jalen Brunson himself, and then Omar got mad at me.
I understood. No, I understood it.
65 is cool. It's better than cool. He's the
best point guard
in the NBA.
It's better than cool.
All I did was say, okay, this is what I said. I said it was cool. I would take the win though, personally, but it was cool. It was a good performance.
We talked about that particularly last week, and I literally told you I see your point.
I kid you not. An hour or two later, Jalen Brunson basically says the same thing I said.
He did.
Villain because I said it first. I'm the villain. No. I'm sorry, Max. You weren't here for this conversation, but I'm sorry. I was the villain first.
Bro, this whole thing.
I can imagine.
First of all, that whole thing started with top 5 point guards in the East and who you think is better than Jalen Brunson. Name 5 guards. But I didn't even want to go down that route.
Did you see what Kyrie had the other night?
Kyrie did really well. Really, really good. I really like him. He's going crazy. Bro, on Giannis and Dame, they were trying to trap him, and they still scored 43. He still scored 43 points on 50% shooting. 50%, man. Yeah. Last night, 43, trapping him every way. Doc Rivers saying, well, we tried to trap him. We tried to do this. Last week, what's his name? Who's the coach? Sacramento Kings coach. Mike Brown. He said, there's only one other guard we do that to, Steph Curry, who we have to keep trapping almost every single play. You got to give the man his due when it's due. You got to give it to him. I'm not saying, look, I'm just gonna go down the list. Top 3. We
All
got
right.
Drew Holiday at point guard in Boston. Right or wrong?
What?
Drew Holiday.
Wait. What's the question? Wait.
I'm just going down. I'm just going down the list. I'm just going down the list.
Are you talking about?
And point guards?
Eastern point guards. Okay,
yeah, we're talking about it.
Okay.
We're going down the list. Number 1, Boston. Drew Holiday. Dame Lillard. Number 2, Orlando Magic. Who is it?
I think it's Suggs technically.
By technicality, or is it like?
No, it's definitely Suggs.
It's definitely Suggs. All right, we're gonna say
really
Suggs.
Play like a point guard, but yeah, he is their point guard.
Okay, we're gonna say Suggs. Just for the sake of the argument, we're gonna say Suggs, even though it could be like Cole Anthony, but we're gonna slide.
He comes off the bench, but yeah.
Oh, Markelle. That's right.
They got a lot of like.
Okay, they have a lot of really good guards. We're gonna go with Jalen Suggs though. Jalen Brunson. Then they have Darius Garland. Then they have Tyrese Halliburton, Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah. And Tyrese buckets.
Tyrese gets buckets, indeed.
Both of them.
What's his name? Shit. Who do they got as their point guard?
What team?
Miami.
It's Rozier.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because they just traded for him. I forgot about that. They just traded for Rozier. So yeah, Rozier.
He cooked up a couple nights ago.
Then he got he did. He did. I wanted to forget about that.
Sorry.
It's okay. Kobe White, Trae Young. No, then they got the rest of the Eastern Conference. Look, except for like Tyrese Halliburton, I'm not ready to put anybody in the Eastern Conference above Jalen Brunson. And Tyrese Halliburton himself is a bit of a question mark.
I mean, he's a really good passer.
He is. Jalen Brunson has been setting up his game with his assist go. For the past 3 games, he's averaged, I think, 11. With his last
9, I think. 9 assists.
9?
I think he had 11, 11, and 8. So what is that average? 10? Probably 10 average.
Okay. I'm going to just double check, but continue. I'm going to just double check.
That just shows you how powerful the West is. The Wild Wild West has all the guards, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because it feels like we're at like a distinct lack of like, I don't know. I hate to say lack, but it feels like the shooting guard spot is a little bit lacking right now, just in terms of like overall NBA power. Like,
True.
It feels like, like the top players in the game.
D-Book, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. I mean, I like Jaylen Brown.
Donovan Mitchell. That's kind of
D-Mitch.
Yeah, it was 11, 11, and 8.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like it's those 3.
Yeah, and it's also been like 35 points, 43 points, 40 something points. Like we can't forget about that. He's also getting the amount of points he's getting. And
he's talking about who?
Brunson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then
this is a slightly unrelated note.
Sorry.
But
no, it's good.
I don't really. Maybe I'm just a Jaylen Brown hater. I feel like Jaylen Brown's a little overrated. Like I feel like with how stacked.
I really thought that
before. On the team. You want to know who's actually overrated on the team? And I'm gonna say it, Jason Tatum.
I thought it before, but after watching games, Brown
is the more consistent.
No, Brown is a little bit more offensively consistent, I'll say.
That's what I'm saying.
Like I've noticed that a little bit. I've noticed it slightly.
It was. I'll be the one.
I've been seeing it for the past 2 years.
Final series a couple years ago, where Boston played Golden State, Jaylen Brown was probably the best player on the court for the Celtics in that series. I was like, he outperformed.
Tatum literally disappeared in the biggest moment of his career,
and he does it almost. He does it almost every time, y'all. Does it almost every time.
Turtle shell.
Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about how Jason Tatum disappears in the playoffs. Everybody wants to talk about how Julius Randle disappears in the playoffs. Nobody wants to talk about Jason Tatum.
I mean, but the Celtics have been consistently the best team in the East since Tatum got there. I mean, he went to the conference finals as a rookie, didn't he? And he led that team. That was his team. Mm-hmm. I can't call that disappearing.
All I'm saying is,
he definitely did not have his best run in the finals. I think that finals really set a bad precedent. But if you look at his overall body of work, he's been the best player on a Celtics team that has consistently won multiple playoff series and gone to an NBA Finals. Like, if we want to play like the comparison game and you want to move players around, like Tatum has had a really unique opportunity to have a great team at a young age.
Yeah,
but he's taking advantage of that. Like, if anything, you would expect him to disappear in his rookie year, in his sophomore year, in his third year. Like, those are the years you.
No, but I'm saying like we're not there. No, we're not there anymore though.
Not there. Yeah, exactly.
But I'm saying like we're not there anymore. Like, what year is this for Tatum now?
I think 6 or 7.
That's
and he's got him as the best team in the NBA. Like, I know it's not the playoffs yet, but
I just feel like Jason Tatum, for what it's worth, he's a great player, but this year is a make or break year for him. As far as
for sure, he has.
I would even say last year too. I mean,
they went to a game 7 to go to the NBA Finals. Like, granted, they were not the better team that series. The Heat out.
Didn't they play the Warriors in the finals?
What?
They played the Warriors in the finals, right?
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about like the conference finals last year against Miami.
No, I'm saying like the year that the Warriors won.
Oh yeah, that was the Celtics. That was them.
Wait, before we go into this a little bit more,
that really messed me up there. Like, I didn't want the Celtics to win, but like, come on, bro. Like, we have Curry coming off, and that's why I can never talk bad about Curry, bro. That's why I can't. I cannot talk bad about Curry. Like, you have this young, athletic Celtics team. They had everything they needed to win that series. Even Draymond said, like, they had that team was the more talented team, and you couldn't string together wins versus that squad. It's crazy, respectfully. No disrespect to the Warriors.
I wanna ask y'all real quick because I just realized the men's national championship is today.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I've not watched any. I'll be straight up honest with you. I've been watching the women's.
My question is, who we think we win in tonight, Purdue or UConn?
Purdue, because I know Zach Edey's on that team, so sure, Purdue.
I mean, I don't know anything though. I think it's gonna be a close game because Zach Edey, he's the only this is the first time he's gonna play an actual big who can guard him.
Is it Edey? What is his actual last name? I don't even know.
It's Edey. Zach Edey.
Okay, my bad. Zach Edey. I literally, like I said, I don't know. I literally just see his name in passing. So Zach Edey, I know he's on Purdue, so Purdue, why not? I know someone who goes to Purdue.
Okay.
There's that. It's like just back to the Tatum thing. It's like he's made the playoffs. This is, I think, year 7 for him. He's made the playoffs every single year. His rookie year, 19 playoff games. Third year, 17. Fifth year, 24, his finals year, and then last year, 20. So it's not like they've been playoff flameouts. They've gone deep in the playoffs. And his career average in the playoffs is basically 24 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. And he's playing 94 playoff games. And he's what, 25, 26? Like, it feels unfair because he set such a high precedent and high expectations. And yes, he has absolutely had a very good team every year. There's no denying that. He has had a lot of help and he's had good coaches as well. But I can't see this as flaming out. Again, is this a put up year for him? Absolutely. They have to make a statement. They are the favorites. They should, for all intents and purposes, go to the finals. They are the best team in the East. They should come out of the East. And anything less would be a disappointment for them 100%. And he did not have a good finals. 2022 finals, Jaylen Brown outplayed him. But I do think we're being a little harsh calling him a playoff flame out, he's not reliable. I think it's only a matter of time before he has that signature. Because remember, people said the same thing about Jokic before he won. Said the same thing about Giannis.
For sure.
He won.
Yeah.
I think it's only a matter of time before Tatum has that signature playoff run and the Celtics get them one. And I think it's only a matter of time before Joel Embiid has a signature playoff run. It could very well be this year. Again, we talked about the injuries. That's going to be a factor. But these great players are going – it's only a matter of time for them. It's just the stars have to align. When you're that good, they will put it together. It's not a matter of if. For me, it's when. And I think you will see this year Tatum is going to be very locked in. And I don't even think he's going to put up that much better stats than he normally does. He already puts up great stats in the playoffs. I just think there's a narrative around him that, he doesn't have what it takes, which I would tend to disagree with. I think when Jason Tatum wins a finals MVP in a couple of years, that narrative will just be put to bed like it has been with Giannis and Jokic. Once you have that one run, people forget about it,
Yeah, but I think just to add on to that, I think it's the same concept. Both can be true. He can be a guy who hasn't historically performed in the highest moments of the playoffs, and he can be a guy to overcome that. I think the problem that people have recently is that sometimes he has moments where he has the opportunity to kind of close out games and help his team contribute to winning series, and it just doesn't happen. I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, everything he does is just not good. You're right. He's having a great start to his career. Not a lot of guys can start their career like this, regardless of team or not. He's a great player. I mean, one of the first moments he had playing basketball, it was Cleveland. Remember Cleveland Celtics when he dunked on Bron? That was one of the biggest moments of his career, and that was as a rookie. It takes a lot to come in there with that type of energy. So my point is, I I think both can be true. Like, he hasn't shown up at the greatest moments. I agree, but he does put up good numbers. Like, statistically, yeah, the averages add out, but this year, he has to close games. I think that's the biggest thing. He has to be able to be a closer. He has the team to do it this year more than ever. Like, this team is no excuses this year. Like, this is everything he needs. He has his big now in Porzingis. He has his guard defenders, and Drew Holiday, and Derek White. I mean, he has Jaylen Brown, his Batman, or maybe he's Batman, he's Robin. Who knows nowadays? Like, who knows?
Jaylen Brown is not
squad.
like
This
is very good.
Great squad. If we're talking about complete basketball teams, this is the most complete NBA team right now. It's the most complete team in the NBA.
Right. I mean, I think if we had to bet money, if we had to bet $100,000 on who's winning the championship this year, who is not putting that money on the Celtics? Really?
I'm not.
Neither of you would put, if you had to pick a team, you would not put that on the Celtics. Wow.
I'd put it on Denver.
For more than other reasons, I would never put 100 on the Celtics.
I'd put it on Denver. But same here. And Max, you should feel the same way. But
listen, $100,000, $100,000. Like, listen, I don't want the Celtics to win. Trust me, I would love to see them play now.
No.
But like,
I will not.
They're gonna choke, bro. Their history has shown another story. And no matter what, they've led the East in the past couple of years in a lot of different categories. It might have ranged from many different ones from many different seasons.
Still gotten close, and they've still
gotten close, and they've still
finals. Like,
sure.
No one else in the East
sure. But they haven't done shit.
They
haven't proved to anybody that they can take the next step and win. And
they have
it all starts with Jason Tatum. He's got to stop disappearing during the playoffs. He's got to be more consistent in clutch time. He's got to do these things to be the actual leader of that squad. That is what is being portrayed to the people, that Jason Tatum is supposed to be the number one and Jaylen Brown is supposed to be the number two. When the number two is playing better than your number one, there's a lot of things going on that's not supposed to be happening. There's probably a lot of clashing heads in that locker room. We don't know because the door's closed. But again, this might be another what's the word? Another team where they're just not getting along, man. What if it's that far? And what if it reaches them to a point where
I feel like every team has
a series other than the 2022 finals. I will give you that. Show me a series where Brown outplayed Tatum or where Tatum was not the best player on the Celtics. Show me a series where he was not the best player on that team.
Let me do some research.
Again, 2022 finals, I give you that. Brown was the better player. And I watched it, and I backed that to the hills. But I think in every single other series the Celtics have played, you could argue that maybe Tatum could have done more, but I don't think you're ever going to see he was not the best player.
It really reminds me of that Suns going to the finals. That's what reminds me of how Tatum played in that 2022 matchup. Because you had games where who were they playing again, by the way?
The Bucks.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Bucks championship. But again, it's like people just a year before were saying Giannis doesn't have what it takes and the Bucks don't have the precedent. But they did because they were still making deep playoff runs, and it's just that was the year they got over the hump. It's not that they don't. It's like you talk about like taking the next step. Like it's not really a step. Like they've been there. They just gotta like. It's not even like a step. It's more just like a tiny little like inch forward. Like they just gotta get over the hump. It's not like they're down there. And there's no other teams in the East that you could say has the precedent. Like the Bucks, you could argue the Bucks have the precedent, but like this is a different. It feels like with the Dame Lillard, this Dame Lillard, Doc Rivers Bucks team does not have the precedence. And Omar, I feel like you'd be the first one to say the Bucks are in trouble.
Yeah, the Bucks are in massive trouble, and I hate the fact that they fired. I hate the fact that they fired Adrian Griffin, who actually gave him a chance in beating Boston, and then they settled for Doc Rivers, who, like, literally last night, bro. Like, I don't want to say it, but they could have won if they just kept 100%. Dame. If they kept Dame Giannis in, they could have won that game. Doc Rivers literally took them out with a minute to go. They were only down 10 points. They could have knocked down 3 threes to get it.
Okay, well, I mean, it
almost feels like it almost feels like the Bucks are just losing these games for standing purposes. Like that's
what it feels like. That's what it feels like.
I don't know.
I'm just saying. I'm not gonna. The way I'm thinking about playoffs right now is I don't know what the East is going to do. I really don't. I'm not going to judge any Eastern Conference team until I see at least one game, at least 2 games in the playoff series, because I just don't know. I mean, the Bucks can go out there and just flip a switch in the playoffs. Like teams do that and just go back to playing great basketball. I mean, the Knicks could go win a series. Like I don't know, man. I don't watch enough East games to sit here and give like a too large opinion unless my team's playing them. But I don't know. I just can't 100% count out the Bucks yet. Like I know they're struggling. Yeah, they're on a losing streak. Well, they lost like 4 or something like that in their last 5. But I don't know. I just still can't just be like, oh yeah, the Bucks are completely done.
Yeah, it's just the funny thing is you can almost argue that the East, it would be better to get, because I'm thinking about this as a Knicks fan. You could argue it would be better to get a 4 or 3 seed and play Indiana or Orlando versus getting the 2 seed and having to play the winner of Miami versus Philly. You can almost argue that's a trap series. Being the 2 seed is the trap because Philly has a healthy Embiid. They're better than a 7 seed. They were like the 3 seed before.
I would love to see him.
What if Cleveland was doing the same thing?
Back and they're clicking in the playoffs. Nobody wants to see that. So you would almost be like, you'll take the inexperienced Pacers, you'll take the inexperienced Magic, because the record-wise, it's not even that big a difference. It's like a game or 2 record.
But what if?
I want to be honest though. I want to be honest.
They're doing the same thing though. Like, what if this is just I don't want the 2. You can have the 2. Nah, you can have the 2. Like, what if it's
it
just
might be like, who knows? I really don't know. I mean, with the 2 seed, it does. The benefits to that is you do get to play one of those play-in teams, so you get more rest than they do. Like, if you are going to play Boston or if you're going to play Philly or Miami. Those 2 do have to play that game, so you get less rest. They got to go through a dogfight of a game before the series starts, so that's a leg up. And if by some miracle the Celtics lose in the first round, you become the top seed in the East remaining. If you make it out as a 2 seed, and you get home court through the rest. So there are benefits to it, but you could also argue that you're setting yourself up to play a better team by being the 2 seed versus the 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't have explained it any better way than that.
Yeah.
All right.
It's tough, man. It's tight. We're going to know pretty soon, though. We're going to get the matchups. Next week's kind of like last week of the regular season. It's going to be good.
I'm excited.
We'll be back next week breaking down pretty much, how this week shakes out. We'll probably be talking about entirely different standings on both the East and the West. It'll look probably entirely different other than the
hopefully. And I wanted to say this real quick before we ended. I don't care if we see like Philadelphia in the first round. I'm not worried. Even with Embiid. Even with Embiid, I'm not worried. I don't think there's a reason.
I still think
I don't think there's a reason to be worried because, look, Embiid is an MVP type of player. I am not disputing that in the slightest.
Put on TikTok, boys. Get ready for the
I'm not disputing this in the slightest.
Yeah, be careful what you say.
But he is not going to be healthy enough in the time that he has to come back. I'm sorry.
So you're scared of him?
He's not going to be healthy enough.
That answer tells me you're scared of.
We'll see. I mean,
who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be? He's an MVP. He's an MVP. I wanted to add one more little segment just because
coping mechanism.
I wanted to add one more little segment.
Healthy, maybe we have a chance.
I wanted to add one more little segment for comedy purposes. I have my picks ready for tonight. I just want to go over it with everybody before we end. So
Omar.
These odds, we're at a plus 8,731 odds. So I have to put that out there.
Omar,
87.
I think this is my last bet.
Yo, if I hit that, it was. If I hit, it will be. Okay, but we got Purdue over Connecticut.
Already lost. I'm sorry.
We got Philadelphia over Detroit.
That's a good one.
We got Indiana over the Raptors. We got Dallas over the Hornets.
Hornets are winning tonight.
Yeah, you think so?
Mm-hmm. Didn't the Hornets just win a crazy game like against a good team?
Bro, yeah. Brandon Miller was literally 4 points off of something.
Yeah, he was going crazy.
We got the Hornets. We got the Mavericks beating the Hornets. We got Boston beating Milwaukee. We got Miami beating Atlanta. We got Minnesota beating Washington.
Atlanta's gonna win.
You think Atlanta's gonna win?
What's the game? Atlanta versus who?
Let me double check. Miami.
They're not winning that.
I don't know. I mean, Atlanta beat the Celtics.
Minnesota.
I might have to suit up and play for the Hawks and give them a chance.
Nah, bro. Atlanta beat the Celtics twice in a week. I can't underestimate games like that.
Okay.
I think the Celtics are just.
I'll consider it. It only brings my odds higher, though.
Tatum, all those boys playing full rotations. They lost.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I feel like
go watch it. I'm serious.
Anyway, so I had Minnesota over Washington. I have Houston over Orlando.
Orlando's winning.
I don't know.
I'd take Orlando in that, but that's just me.
I got San Antonio over Memphis, Pelicans over Trailblazers.
Earl,
you're not gonna like this one. I got Golden State over the Lakers because y'all last two matchups y'all lost against the Golden State.
No
Warriors,
LeBron the first time, and Anthony Davis didn't play the second time.
Fair enough. You know what? Fair enough.
That's a bad bet, brother.
Okay, I'm just saying. That's
I'm
what
just
I'm going
saying.
off.
How much?
Knicks over Bulls, and OKC over Sacramento.
How much did you put down for this?
I didn't put anything down yet. I'm just making them. It's just my picks.
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and adjust that, my brother. Trying to save you. If you don't want to lose your $5,
I mean, look.
I'm just saying, if you don't want to lose $5, switch that up right now. Live on stream.
All right. Let's. I just want to point out that if I put $10 on this, I would win $8,731.
If that hits, you should win $1 million.
But here, I wanna change it real quick, just so we can see what happens with Earl's pick. So you said Charlotte. You said Charlotte to win. Yep. Charlotte to win against the Mavericks.
Yep.
You said
UConn to win over Purdue.
You think UConn to win over Purdue?
Yep.
Okay.
This is not professional advice. Do not follow.
Yeah. Seriously, don't follow. We're just kids. We're waffling, exactly. My Atlanta over Miami.
That's a personal choice.
Nah, I'm not gonna do that.
I'd go Miami, but
okay. Orlando over the Magic, or Orlando over the Magic. Yeah. Orlando over the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the Clippers over the Phoenix Suns. That's good. I mean, no, I'm sorry. I have Phoenix over the Clippers.
I back the Clippers in that one.
Again, Clippers are winning.
Look at that.
Or actually.
The last couple of
matchups. The standings are going. I've seen teams donate wins, so I don't know. That's a little tricky because I'm gonna keep Phoenix because the last two matchups Phoenix did beat. But I would say the Clippers would probably win.
Okay. And you said the Lakers over the GSW.
Of course.
Yeah, it only gets me $10,000, Earl.
That's $2,000 more than what you're gonna have.
That's true.
All right.
So the picks are
Omar picks for the week. As our
So just to make it clear, everybody, UConn over Purdue. I have to scroll all the way down. This is stupid. I'm sorry, guys. UConn over Purdue. We got 76ers over Detroit, Indiana over Toronto, Charlotte over Dallas, Boston over Milwaukee, Miami over the Hawks, Minnesota over the Washington Wizards, Orlando over the Rockets, San Antonio over the Memphis Grizzlies.
I would say I got a sleeper pick.
What is your sleeper pick?
6x that.
What is your
beat the Timberwolves?
You think so?
I think so.
You realize that's at a plus. That's at a plus 11,000. So if I put this down, it's probably gonna be at least $10,000 more.
I'm just saying. I just have one of those. Don't listen to me though. I'm just here for fun.
I was wrong. It's not 10,000. It's more like 100,000.
There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just putting these down for shits and giggles, guys. I'm gonna put $5 on it because I
don't forget me, Omar.
I'm not gonna forget you, Earl. I definitely will not forget you. But yeah, Wizards over Minnesota apparently. Orlando over Rockets. San Antonio over Memphis. Knicks over Bulls. Thunder over Kings. Denver over Utah. Phoenix over Clippers. LA over GSW, and then Pelicans.
Great. All right, there you go. There are your Omar picks for the week. That will be our final segment for today.
Who are the Pelicans playing?
That won't happen.
Trailblazers.
Okay.
But if you guys did enjoy this edition of the Beyond the Backboard podcast, episode 31, and you're excited for some NBA playoffs next week, we'll be talking about probably an entirely new looking standing. So hit that subscribe button, comment down below to let us know you're excited. As always, find us on Spotify, find us right here on YouTube, find us on TikTok. You know, all the regular places will be, and we'll be back next week with the boys as usual. So hope y'all have a good week. Enjoy some basketball, and we're going to see 7 days.
Peace out.
I got infinity money.